Welcome, confidential listeners, to another entry from our private archives. This is a space for the unspoken, for the deep, dramatic secrets that carry a heavy emotional weight. Tonight's story was sent to me by a woman named Nancy, a survivor from the dust-swept plains of Texas, who lived in a cage made of fear and heavy hands. It is a diary of a broken spirit and a forbidden smile, titled The Screams in the Dust. So, close the door, turn down the lights, and listen closely, because the audience for this truth is only you. Beau was a cruel man. There's no other way to say it. He turned my life bitter, spending his days breaking me down with blows and humiliations. I was his punching bag, the place where he dumped the weight of his own failures and frustrations under the scorching Texas sun. In the beginning, when we first met, he made an effort. It wasn't much, but it was enough to hide who he really was. He wanted to win me over, and the worst part is that he succeeded. I truly liked him, and I let myself get pulled in until I got pregnant. That pregnancy sealed my fate. We moved into the small house at the back of his parents' ranch on the outskirts of Amarillo. As soon as we started living under the same roof, his true colors showed. Jealous, possessive, controlling. If there was a barbecue at the main house, or if a relative stopped by to visit his parents, Beau forced me to stay locked inside. He was terrified I would show myself off, as he put it. In his sick mind, I was always planning to betray him. "What were you doing outside, Nancy? Were you out there flaunting yourself for the ranch hands? You want to make a fool out of me, don't you?" I didn't understand why. I was always the most modest of women, but for him, nothing was ever enough. He would scream at me in front of anyone, even my own family. Once, he insulted my parents right in the middle of the living room, treating me like the lowest woman on earth. And my parents, poor souls, just lowered their heads and listened, terrified of his rage. I thought time would change him, but when our daughter, Abigail, was born, the monster inside him only grew. I thought, in my heart of hearts, that the arrival of Abigail would soften him. I thought seeing his own blood would remind him of the man he pretended to be. But the Texas plains felt even colder after she was born. Beau didn't see a miracle. He saw a nuisance. He saw a crying baby that got in the way of his rest and his pride. He complained about every sound she made. He turned into a wild animal if she opened her mouth, especially at night. I spent those long, dusty nights trying to muffle her cries against my chest, terrified that her innocence would trigger his fury. I lived with a permanent knot in my stomach. "Shut that kid up, Nancy. Don't you know I have to be at the ranch at dawn? Can't you even do the one thing you're supposed to do?" If he was a brute to a 4-year-old girl, you can imagine what was left for me. If a cousin or an old friend from high school stopped by to check on me, he'd sit right there, eyes narrowed, like a predator guarding a kill. I didn't have the right to receive my own mother without him breathing down my neck, twisting every word I said into a lie. It was because of a visit that he finally crossed the line. An aunt I hadn't seen in years showed up to meet Abigail. He paced around the kitchen like a hungry wolf. He stepped out to the porch for a second, but he must have heard my aunt whisper that he seemed a bit rough around the edges. As soon as she left, the storm hit. He didn't just yell this time. He slapped me across the face so hard I hit the floorboards before I could even scream. I remember the smell of the old wood and the copper taste of blood in my mouth. That was my first warning. From that day on, it became our ritual. Everyone knew. The neighbors, his family, my family. They saw the bruises. They heard the shouts echoing across the ranch, but they looked away. In Amarillo, they say you don't mess with another man's house, even if that house is a cage. The more time passed, the worse Beau became. I was forced to pretend everything was fine, hiding the marks under my clothes while my soul was crushed into the dry Texas soil. Living with him was living in a silent hell, where I had to be invisible just to survive. But everything changed when Abigail turned 4 and I started attending Grace Bible Church, a small wooden chapel near our ranch. It was the same church my mother-in-law had gone to for years. We started going together to hear the sermon. There, amidst the smell of old pews and the hum of the ceiling fans, I found the only hour of peace in my entire week. It was during one of those services that something completely off script happened. I noticed a young man sitting a few yards away. I was there, sitting with my daughter and my mother-in-law, trying to focus on the pastor's words, when I realized he was staring fixedly at me. It wasn't a common or distracted look. It was a gaze charged with an interest I hadn't felt in years. He truly saw me. When he realized I noticed him, he didn't look away. Instead, he flashed a shy smile, a smile that slowly widened, warming my heart in a way that Texas sun never could. I don't know what came over me, but I smiled back. I was so unaccustomed to receiving a gesture of kindness that my smile came out clumsy, almost forced by the shock of being treated like someone who mattered. My God, how long had it been since anyone really looked at me? I felt like a shadow, an object that Beau owned only to mistreat. He never looked me in the eyes. He only shouted or threatened. But that stranger, he looked at me like I was a woman. I went home with the image of that face burned into my mind. That day, the dust of Amarillo felt a little less suffocating. Even Beau noticed something different when I arrived. "What's with that face, Nancy? Why are you grinning like a fool? You hiding something from me, woman?" I didn't answer. If he knew my thoughts were far away, on a man whose name I didn't even know yet, he would kill me. But for the first time, the hope of seeing that gaze was stronger than my fear. Every time I went to a service after that, I was searching for him. Whenever I saw him there, my heart would race, and when he wasn't, I felt a heavy, hollow sadness. I became addicted to that gaze, a starving woman finally finding a crumb of affection. Then, one morning, after I dropped Abigail off at the local daycare, it happened. I was walking back along the dusty road when I heard someone call out, "Hey, excuse me, ma'am. I didn't mean to scare you, but I've seen you at Grace Bible, and I just wanted to say hello." My whole body went cold. It was him. Up close, his eyes were even kinder than I remembered. I felt my legs turn to water, shaking so much I thought I'd collapse right there in the Texas dirt. He asked me where I was headed in such a rush, and I told him I was just going home. "That little girl you're always with, she's your daughter, right? She's beautiful. I noticed your husband doesn't usually join you for the sermons." I didn't want to say too much, but I couldn't hide the truth entirely. I told him Beau wasn't much for church things. It was then that he told me his name was Austin. Austin. The name sounded like a promise, something fresh and light compared to the heavy bitterness of my life at the ranch. My God, what an enchanting man. He was so gentle, so respectful. Just standing there, talking to a man who didn't scream at me, felt like a sin and a miracle all at once. I could feel the bitterness of my marriage rising in my throat, but I forced it down. He asked if he could walk me home. For a second, I wanted to say yes more than anything. But then I remembered where I lived. I remembered Beau's heavy boots and his violent jealousy. I told Austin it was better if we didn't, that people in Amarillo talk, and I didn't want any trouble. He nodded, but before I left, he asked if I walked this path every day at the same time. I said yes. I walked away with my heart beating so loud I could hear it in my ears. I didn't know his intentions yet, but for the first time in 4 years, I felt like I was worth more than a target for someone's rage. 2 days later, there he was. The sun was beating down on the hood of his truck, shimmering against the dust like a mirage. Austin was waiting for me in the exact spot where we had first spoken. When I saw him, my heart did something it hadn't done in years. It soared, but right behind that joy was a paralyzing terror. In Amarillo, secrets don't stay buried for long, and Beau's anger was a ghost that haunted every shadow. Austin lowered the window and leaned out, that same gentle smile on his face. He asked if I was in a hurry, if I wanted to take a short drive just to talk. My mind screamed no, but my soul was starving. Before I could stop myself, I was opening the passenger door. "You're so beautiful, Nancy. That smile of yours, it's been stuck in my head since the first day I saw you at church. I've been going to every service just hoping to catch a glimpse of you." I felt my face go hot. No one had ever said anything like that to me, not even in the beginning. Beau treated me like a piece of property he had already broken. Austin was treating me like something precious. We drove for about 15 minutes until we pulled into the back of a quiet gas station at the edge of town. The air in the car was cool, a sharp contrast to the Texas heat outside. Austin reached out and took my hand. His skin was warm, his touch so light I almost cried. I had forgotten what it felt like to be touched without the expectation of pain. Then he leaned in. He kissed me. It wasn't a demand, it was a question. It had been so long since I felt a real kiss, a real caress. My husband didn't do affection. He just took what he wanted like it was his right. But Austin held me like I was made of glass. My whole body started to shiver, and for a moment, I forgot about the ranch, I forgot about the bruises, and I forgot about Beau. I knew I was playing with fire. I knew that if Beau found out, he would destroy me. But in that moment, in Austin's arms, I felt alive for the first time in my adult life. I was willing to burn just to feel that warmth for one more minute. That kiss wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a dangerous dance. Every morning, after dropping Abigail off, I looked for Austin's truck like a sailor looks for a lighthouse in a storm. We started meeting 2, maybe 3 times a week. We never made love. My fear of Beau was still a wall I couldn't climb. But we traded touches, long conversations, and kisses that felt like stealing oxygen from a burning building. I couldn't help it. I came home feeling lighter. My face had a glow that hadn't been there since I was a teenager. I was so foolish back then, thinking I could hide a heart that had finally started beating again. I would catch myself humming church hymns while cleaning the kitchen, my mind miles away in the front seat of that truck. But Beau, he wasn't stupid. He was a man built on control, and he could feel the reins slipping. One evening, he was sitting at the kitchen table, nursing a beer, watching me move. The silence in the house was heavy, broken only by the sound of the Texas wind rattling the window panes. "You're acting real strange lately, Nancy. Always got that little smirk on your face, like you're laughing at a joke I haven't heard. You playing games with me, woman? Because you know I don't like games. You better watch yourself. You know what I'm capable of." My blood turned to ice. I didn't even look at him. I just kept scrubbing the same spot on the counter until my knuckles were white. I realized then that someone might have seen me. In a town like Amarillo, eyes are everywhere, behind curtains, inside parked cars, at the grocery store. My heart hammered against my ribs, a trapped bird sensing the cage was about to shrink. I should have stopped right then. I should have told Austin we couldn't meet anymore. But I was starving for him. I was willing to risk the lash of Beau's belt just for 3 minutes of feeling like a human being again. The air that morning felt thick, like the moments right before a tornado touches down on the ranch. I didn't know that Beau had skipped work that day. He had been watching me, biding his time, fueled by the whispers of neighbors or his own dark instincts. I walked right into the trap, thinking the Texas dust would hide my secret for one more day. I dropped Abigail off at daycare and met Austin at our usual spot. We were sitting in his truck, the engine idling softly. Austin leaned over to give me a kiss, a moment of tenderness in a world of thorns. But the kiss was cut short by a sound that still haunts my nightmares, a heavy metallic bang against the glass. I looked up, and my heart nearly stopped. It was Beau. His face was distorted, his mouth foaming with a rage I had never seen before. And I had seen his worst. He didn't say a word. He just smashed his fist against the window again. Before I could even breathe, he ripped the door open and grabbed me by my hair, dragging me out of the seat like I was a sack of grain. "I knew it, you dirty lion. I'll kill you right here on the asphalt. Did you think I wouldn't find out?" He threw me to the ground. My elbow scraped against the harsh Texas road, but I barely felt the sting. Austin scrambled out of the driver's side, eyes wide with terror. He saw the fire in Beau's eyes, the kind of fire that only ends in a funeral. I shouted for him to run, to go, because I knew Beau had a gun in his own truck. Austin didn't look back. He jumped into his truck and sped off, the tires screaming against the pavement, leaving me alone with the monster. Beau didn't care about the man. He wanted the woman he thought he owned. He grabbed me by my hair again and began dragging me down the road, back toward our house. Nobody moved. People were watching from their porches, hiding behind their screen doors. I was being dragged through the streets of my own town, crying for help, and the world just watched. I realized then that in Beau's world, I wasn't a person. I was a lesson. I don't know how I survived that night. I truly don't. Beau didn't just want to hurt me. He wanted to erase the woman who had dared to dream of another life. He dragged me into the house, and for hours, the only sounds were his heavy breathing and the impact of his fists against my skin. I stopped screaming after the first hour. I just laid there on the cold floor, staring at the dust motes dancing in the moonlight. The worst part wasn't the pain, it was the realization that everyone knew. The walls of that ranch house are thin, and the Texas wind carries every sound. My in-laws, the neighbors, they all heard me, but not a single soul called the police. Not a single person knocked on the door. In their eyes, I was the one who had sinned. I was bleeding on the floorboards, and all I could think about was my mother. I thought she would come for me, but even she turned her back. When word got out about Austin, my own family said I had brought this on myself. They chose the side of the monster because he was family, and I was just the wife who didn't know her place. Beau only stopped because he thought I had finally learned my lesson. He looked at me with such disgust, as if I were the one who was the animal. He told me that if I ever looked at another man again, he wouldn't stop until I was buried in the dry earth behind the barn. I didn't cry. My tears had dried up long ago. I just lay there in the dark, feeling the weight of the silence. Austin was gone. He had vanished like a summer rain that never quite reached the ground. I realized then that my little moment of happiness had cost me everything. I looked at my reflection in the shattered hallway mirror. I didn't recognize the woman looking back. My heart felt like it had turned into a stone, hard and cold. I understood then that in this house, in this town, I wasn't meant to be happy. I was only meant to endure. That was the last time I ever saw Austin. He disappeared from Amarillo like he was never there at all, and I don't blame him. Who would stay to face a man like Beau? But with him went the last flicker of light I had left. I decided that day, as I scrubbed my own blood off the kitchen tiles, that I would never let myself feel anything again. It was the only way to survive. Sometimes I sit out on the porch after Beau has fallen into a drunken sleep, and I watch the sun dip below the Texas horizon. I think about that woman I used to be, the one who believed a smile could change her life. I wonder where Austin is tonight. I don't hate him for leaving. I thank him for the few minutes of humanity he gave me, even if the price was a lifetime of scars. I've come to accept that maybe I wasn't born for that thing people call happiness. Maybe some of us are just here to be the foundation for someone else's future. If Abigail grows up and finds a man who treats her with the kindness I never knew, then every bruise on my body will have been worth it. That is my only prayer now. My heart is a closed book, and the ink has run dry. I don't expect a miracle anymore. I just expect the next day. I've learned to live in the shadows of Amarillo, where the wind whispers secrets that nobody wants to hear. The weight of silence is often heavier than the weight of a blow. Nancy's story is a reminder that in the vast open spaces of the Texas plains, the most crowded places can be the loneliest. She remains there, a pillar of quiet strength in a house of thorns, proving that survival is sometimes the greatest act of rebellion. Now I ask you, my confidential listeners, when the world stays silent, who is truly to blame? The one who strikes, or the ones who hear and look away? And could you find the strength to stay, like Nancy, for the sake of a love that hasn't been broken yet? If this story touched your soul, leave a comment below. Your words might be the only kindness Nancy ever hears. Give this video a like and share it. Let's break the silence for those who cannot speak. Subscribe to our archives for more secrets from the dark corners of the world. Remember, we are all just messages in bottles, tossing and turning in the currents of life. Some find the shore, and some are destined to drift forever. Stay safe and keep your secrets close. Good night.